Welcome back. We had a long. Om Shruti Shruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaye Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karne Bishunyama Devaha Bhadram Pashye Makshabhit Yajatraha Sthirairangai Shushtvagum Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti Narstarkshyo Varishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaskatir Dadatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We were looking at the mantra. First, we looked at just the Ekakshara, Gung. It's like a Bija mantra for Ganapathi. Ganadim Purvamucharya Varnadim Tadanantaram Anuswara Parataraha Adhe Lasitam Tarena Riddham Etattava Manuswarupam. The Rupa of this mantra is this. Yes, and we always add the Mangalakar Suchaka Om in the beginning. Om is everything. By adding Om to anything, you actually enhance that, particularly if it's a mantra. Om includes everything. So it is Om Gung, just that. Ganadim Purvamucharyam. First, the first letter to pronounce is Gakara. And Varnadim Tadanantaram. What is Varnadi? What is the Adi of Varna? Akara. That's how the Varna starts. A, E, and then Kaka, Gaga, etc. That's how the Varna starts. A is the next sound to be pronounced. So, Ganadim Purvamucharya Varnadim Tadanantaram. That is followed by Anuswara. Actually, Anuswara, all the fifth class letters are called Anuswara. Here the Anuswara is Makara. Nakara or Nakara, all of them also called Anuswara only. But here the Anuswara we're using is Makara. But that also is modified, nasalized by the Chandra Bindu. So Makara will also become Ma. As it is nasal. But you will see this sometime in the in Gita, 2-3 places you will find, in 2 places only, the Chandra Bindu comes and gives it a nasal sound. So Anuswara Parataraha and Ardhendu Lasitam. The Ardha Bindu is called Ardhendu Lasitam. Then Tarena Riddham. Riddham is only Riddhi. It increases. Because of the Omkara, it anyway enhances. This total Rupam is a full Rupam of the Bija Mantra for Lord Ganapati. Ardhendu Lasitam. Sorry, Tarena Riddham, Ardhendu Lasitam. It is, Lasitam is one meaning for it is blossom, to appear. To Ardha, that gives it that form. And this whole mantra, Gang, is just enough. In fact, many of them you will find these mantras are there, which is one syllable. And they represent various forms of Ishvara. It is important that we understand this. As you know, in Sanskrit, particularly when these kind of mantras, the exact pronunciation becomes very important. And it's all oral tradition, so everything is learned only through hearing. Yesterday, two of these people, Anand and Atreya, came and chanted Rudram. I was very pleased. They had also learned it by just hearing. And it was nice to hear. Correct pronunciation, correct what is it called? Lengthening of the letters, etc. It has to be correct. That's why you find that any Vedic mantra, you cannot pronounce it in any other way. You cannot sing it. I suppose the sounds have a value themselves. And then the vibrations they produce perhaps have a lot of value. In fact, you will find that later on in Chandogya Upanishad, in the very first chapter, there is a mantra, two mantras in fact, which talk about the fact that any mantra, you must know the Chandasam, Chandas, the meter, what meter it is. You must know who is the Devata, who is the Rishi who has written that. All that you should know, it says in Upanishad itself, Chandogya Upanishad. So in any upasana, this becomes very important. Upasana, both in terms of the prayers that we do, if we're verbalizing, and in terms of the japa you do. We will see how important it becomes when you do japa. In the next verse, the same thing is expanded further. We saw only Om Gam. Then the next verse says, again says, Gakara Purva Rupam, Akaro Madhyama Rupam. Here, very specifically, it says Akara. It doesn't say Varnadi. Anuswara Chaantya Rupam, Makara. Binduruttara Rupam. On top of that is the Bindu. Nadasandanam. This is the important thing in this. Om Gang Ganapataye. Namaha is the full mantra. Om Gang Ganapataye Namaha. When we pronounce this Gang, there is a extended silence at the end of it. These five parts, Gakara, Akara, Makara, Bindu, and Nada, constitute the whole Bija Mantra. And this extended silence is a very important part of this. Here it's called Nada. In not only in our Vedas, but in other places also say that in the beginning there was word, there was sound, and everything came from there. We say it as Om, and Om is therefore not confined to Hinduism or Sanskrit. It is where the whole world came from. And we've seen Om covers the entire range of sounds, what you produce from deep in the throat, in the top of the mouth, and in the lips. A, U, Ma. Complete range of sound is covered. And this whole Jagat being nothing but sounds, Namarupa. The sound and the form that we associate with that sound. Therefore, the whole Jagat that we know is nothing but sound and originates from that one syllable. So when we say this nada, the end of the gang, it is the whole Jagat, every action that we have, every object that you have, and the knowledge. The source of the whole Jagat is that. It is also important from many other perspectives. If you remember in Dakshinamurti Stotram, it says, Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahmatattvam Yuvanam. In that Maunam, you see the entire Jagat. You see the source, Parabrahman. Not that the teacher teaches in silence, but in that silence, you see the entire Jagat. When, therefore, both in terms of upasana, when we say Om Ganapataye Namaha, with a prayer to Lord Ganesha, who is only a form of the Ishvara to whom we are praying. But it's also important when we do japa or meditation, for example. When we do meditation, what is the purpose of meditation is to take charge of the mind. Ultimately, jnanam has to take place in the mind. There's no other way. It is jnanam. But the mind is constantly in motion, constantly agitated. So many times you'll find if I sit in meditation, I am not able to keep the mind under control. It keeps flitting here and there. Because mind, nature is like that. So it keeps going here and there. Sometimes connected, sometimes totally unconnected subjects. In fact, you can do an experiment. You try and remember your own thoughts in the last few minutes. And you will find that you got such unrelated thoughts are coming one after the other. Now with this kind of thing, particularly given that everything in the world agitates the mind, stirs up the mind. Good things stir up the mind, bad things or not so good things stir up the mind. How do I keep my mind focused on this Nirguna Brahman? Forget about Saguna Brahman. Saguna is maybe at least some form of the Nirguna Brahman. There's no form also. How are you going to keep the mind focused on that? So meditation, many times, I'm sure all of you experienced. Either you go to sleep, if you're concentrating on your keeping your mind control, you go to sleep, or the mind is constantly flitting. Oh, did I give the right instructions to that guy about that software to be written? Mind is gone there. If he doesn't do it right, the customer could get very angry. You committed a date to him. All that is gone. one of the purposes of a japa is that because you repeat that again and again, Om Ganganapataye Namaha, Om Ganganapataye Namaha, Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Any mantra, you understand the meaning. So before you start the japa, you know what you are saying. I am praying to so and so. I am praying to so and so to give me the capacity to gain that knowledge, which is moksha. And to gain that knowledge, which is moksha, I have to keep the mind under control. The mind keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down, here and there, everywhere. I can't gain that knowledge. So what do? When the mind has this tendency to keep flitting to apparently unrelated subjects, you give it you feed it something, and you know in anticipation, if you say Om Ganganapataye Namaha, then the next one is going to start. Again, Om Ganganapataye Namaha. The mind is already fixated there. Over time, it becomes easier to not let the mind drift away. If I simply have anything in front of me, if I have the picture of the Lord in front of me, or if I have just the Om written, I know some people who used to do that meditation like that. They would have it written on a green, the green is pleasing to the eye. They would keep it in front. But if you're not doing something like this, the mind still has the tendency to keep running away. So by doing japa, and at the end of each pronunciation of the mantra, that silence, on the one hand, I said the silence represents the origin of everything. And because the mind is there and the mind is already anticipating the next mantra, mind doesn't drift away so easily. So here also we have Om Gang Ganapataye. Here it's only Gang. Om Gang. Extended sound. In fact, sometimes it's called Nada Brahman. The origin of the entire Jagat called Nada Brahman. When we recognize that the whole Jagat is nothing but sound. So, Kakara Purva Rupam, Akaro Madhyama Rupam, Anuswarascha Antya Rupam, Binduruttara Rupam, Nadasandanam. Just 5 parts, clearly helping us in keeping charge of ourselves. This is the whole mantra. And Sagum Hita Sandhihi. This whole thing is together makes the mantra. The Kakara, Akara, Makara, Bindu, and Nada makes the mantra, the whole. And this is pronounced sequentially. So Samhita is togetherness. Sagum Hita Sandhihi. That completes the entire mantra. In pronouncing the mantra, we don't say that, but in this mantra, part of the sutra here, the part of the Upanishad here, tells us that's a complete mantra. Om Gam Sagum Hita Sandhihi. A lot of elaboration on this in this Upanishad. As I told you, this Upanishad has a lot to do with Upasana. But Upasana and Jnanam, both are there. So the full mantra is the 8-matra mantra called Om Ganapataye Namaha. I salute Lord Ganapathi by preceding it with the Bija mantra called Gang, Om as a Mangala Sutraka, as everything, and Lord Ganapathi, Ganapataye Namaha. Ganapati also is Gananam Pati, the Lord of all the Ganas. Any Gana. We have, in everything we have Gana. As humans also, we like to live in groups, in societies, and Devas also are in societies. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. This is the complete mantra by which we can do both verbalized prayer as part of the Upanishad when we chant, as dhyanam, and as understanding of Lord Ganapati as the manifestation of the entire Jagat, that is Ishvara. So the next verse says, Saisha Ganesha Vidya. Every mantra is also called Vidya. Knowledge. This is the knowledge through the mental worship of Ishvara in the form of Lord Ganesha. This is the Saesha Ganesha Vidya. This is the Ganesha mantra to be used both, like I said, as upasana as well as for gaining the understanding. We need upasana also. Without the upasana, which will bring us hopefully the grace of Ishvara, the Vidya is not going to happen. So we ask for that Ishvara's blessings through our prayer to Lord Ganesha, and really raise the level of prayer to the ultimate prayer, saying, may I become ready to gain this knowledge. This Ganesha Vidya, the Esha Ganesha Vidya, was created by a rishi called Ganaka Rishi. As I told you, the Upanishads themselves tell us that we should know who created this, on what Lord, which rishi created this, on which devata, what are the chandas, all that we should know. So here it says, Esha Ganesha Vidya Ganaka Rishi. Name of the rishi who created this. And what is the meter chandas? It is Nisrat Gayatri Chandaha. It's an 8 meter, 8 syllable, 8 matra. Om Ganganapataye Namaha mantra called Nisrat Gayatri. This mantra, if you just pronounce without understanding, it is a mantra, it will have its own punya. But when an adhikari chants this mantra, one who has understood what he is doing, one who has got his Atma Shuddhi in terms of Ragadvesha control, who is in charge of the mind, who is the Yukta Purusha, then it becomes Vidya. Vidya is only for the adhikari. No Vidya can be for anybody who is not an adhikari. You cannot expect to learn anything. Java, if you're not an adhikari. You cannot hope to learn particle physics if you're not an adhikari. Whatever the adhikaritvam is for that particular thing. Here also, although this is Vidya, this becomes Vidya only to the person who is an adhikari. Therefore, karma, upasana, karma yoga, all that become critical for every human being. So the Rishi, the seer, is Ganaka Rishi. Rishi is seer is probably the closest translation. Rishayati, Pashyati, iti Rishihi. He who is able to see beyond what our normal senses can perceive is a Rishi. That is why they are able to see what Vedanta says, what Vedas say. You know that the Vedas are not ascribed to any author. Vedas are called Apaurusheya. And if it is Apaurusheya, can everybody get it? No. Your entire system has been tuned into that to get it. Because the question that arises is, I have learned because my guru taught me. He's already learned it from his guru. He has already learned from his guru, from his guru, from his guru, and so on. And if you say the rishis are the first people to gain this, how did they gain? They didn't have a guru. Because one way of explaining that is say that Sadashiva Samharambham, the Lord himself taught. But we have been studying all this time that you are the Ishvara. Then who taught you? Who taught the Rishis? Rishis developed through their control of themselves that fine ability to receive this knowledge. Like we are told that we have to be prepared, become the adhikari to receive this knowledge from a guru. Therefore, you have all this adhikaritvam, viveka vairagya, shamadamadi shatka sampattihi, and mumukshutvam. That is when you want to gain from the guru. All this is required for a rishi who doesn't have a guru, but is something more he needs. The ability to attune himself to that, to receiving that knowledge. Therefore, they're called rishis because they are seers. They're able to see this which others are not able to see. And from them has come all the Vidya. To us who are in this Martyaloka. Therefore, Arsha Vidya. Arsha is the, for those who understand, Taddita form of Rishi. That which has come from the Rishi is called Arsha. It's not Arsha, because in English we write ARSHA, not Arsha. Arsha. And that knowledge that has come from the Rishis, through the help of a guru, it is unfolded and we are able to gain, provided we have adhikaritva. So Ganaka Rishi is the one who has seen this and who has therefore written this, the seer. And Nisrat Gayatri Chandaha, 8-meter Gayatri Mantra, composed in the Gayatri Mantra by the Rishis. You know, in fact, Come to think of it, even in various Laukika Vishaya, we have many rishis. In a particular field, you have a rishi who is able to see more than you and I can. People come with innovative, creative things. Where do they come from? In a sense, they are also rishis, but in a very limited way. Whereas here we are talking about rishi of that ultimate knowledge, moksha jnanam, atma jnanam. Whereas another rishi who discovered that the universe is expanding increasingly, it is accelerating the expansion, is also seer. He was able to see something which others were not able to see. Till then, the assumption was that the universe is expanding, but it will slow down slowly till the time comes when it will stop expanding. So in that field, he's a rishi. Like that, we have many rishis even in our Laukika Vishaya. But here we're talking about the rishi who is seeing that knowledge which is knowing which there is nothing more to know, which is the ultimate, which is infinite, Purna. And what is the knowledge? Very simple. That you are Purna. There is nothing more to know. If you're Purna, nothing more to do, nothing more to know. That kind of knowledge. So this mantra also elaborates who is the rishi, what is the meter, and who is the devata, presiding deity. Ganapathi Devata, presiding deity. It is not Ishvara, but a form of Ishvara, a manifestation of Ishvara. We've said that you can pray to Ishvara through any form. Which is why if we understand all this, then such a person has no problem with anybody praying to any form of Ishvara. This whole debate about are Indians tolerant or intolerant? There are proponents of both. There are a lot of people who say these days Indians are intolerant. There are others who say no, by our own knowledge we are very tolerant. We are tolerant because for us, you pray to any devata, we are okay with it because to us that's also devata. This debate has been going on for some time now. But the fact is, those who understand this, Irupadalam Irevane, they don't have a problem with anybody. They don't shun somebody who prays to Muhammad or Christ. For us, Muhammad is also a manifestation of Ishvara. Christ is also a manifestation of Ishvara. But only when you understand the very idea of Irupadalam Irevane. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman. Only then that becomes important, or that becomes possible. Therefore, here the Devata is Ganapathi, to whom we are going to form. We're given a big stomach, we're given him a trunk and a head of a elephant and all that. So we can pray to a form which is recognizable. Then we write stories about Ganapathi, how we beat his brother in a competition that was set by his parents. All the stories are there. makes it easy for us to identify with that particular Devata. But when you recognize that when I'm praying to the Devata, I'm only praying to Ishvara, then the form makes no difference. That form is for my own convenience to help focus and be able to pray. And therefore, all those stories, whether it's Krishna stories or Murugan stories or whatever stories that you have, helps me to focus. So, Ganapathi Devata. This mantra, therefore, Om Ganganapataye Namaha. You will hear in every Playar temple, Ganesha temple. This is what it means. That this 8 syllable meter called Visrut Chandas is used for praying to Lord Ganesha, praying to Ishvara through Lord Ganesha. The Gayatri mantra itself, Gayatri itself is also a meter, Chandas. The most common Gayatri we know is Om Bhurbhusvaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. It looks like more than 24 syllables, but it is Om Bhurbhusvaha. Bhuvu Bhuva Swaha. The Bhuvu Bhuva Swaha is called Vyakriti. It's an expansion of Om. Om includes everything. Bhu is the earth, Bhuva is the interspace, and Bhuva is the heavens or Swarga and all the lokas, and the space in between. All of them are nothing but Om. Those three do not form part of the Gayatri. Om Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Now if you see the 3 lines of 88 syllables each, 24 syllables. Although it is commonly called Gayatri, it is actually Savitur Gayatri. There are many Gayatris available. When we do puja and arti here, whatever deities we have, we do a Gayatri to that deity also. As on Krishna, we therefore say, Om Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. They typically go like this, Prachodayat. May that Lord guide my thinking. May that Lord give me the ability to take correct decisions. And Savitur Gayatri prays to sun. There are many interpretations of sun. Sun is jnanam. Sun is life. So you don't look at the sun and pray because it's a circular thing, be seeable on the sky. But what is behind that is what we look at. Varaniyam. So for Lord Ganesha also we have a Gayatri mantra. And again, when we do the puja for Ganesha, this also is chanted. Ekadantaya vidmahe vakratundaya dhimahi tanno danti prachodayat. Same thing you will find. Tanno Vishnu prachodayat, tanno Lakshmi prachodayat, naha prachodayat. Help us, not one individual. This last line is always the same. Help us take the right decisions, all of us. Naha. Therefore, when you pronounce any Gayatri, then no, for example, Dantif, in Gayatri, Dhiyoyo na prachodayat. That is Naha prachodayat. So in pronouncing it must sound and you must be able to hear Nah prachodayat. Otherwise, you will say Na prachodayat means you are asking for the opposite. Don't guide us. Here also you have Ekadantaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. We contemplate upon Ishvara in the form of Lord Ganapathi. Dhimahi. Dhimahi also will find in every Gayatri mantra. What is Dhimahi? Comes from the Dhatu Dhyayi, to meditate, to contemplate. Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Ekadantaya Vidmahi. One was only one tusk. And Vakratundaya, trunk is bent. Sometimes we'll find the bend is on the right, sometimes we'll find the bend is on the left. On that, we meditate. Tat naha danti prachodayat. May that danti help us by guiding us in the right direction, help us take the right decisions. Not only I, but all the people around me. This meter, Gayatri, even in Bhagavad Gita, it gives importance, no? You remember, in the 10th chapter, Bhagavan says, no? Prahat Samayatat Samnam Gayatri Chandasamaham. Amongst the meters, I am Gayatri. It is considered a very important meter. So one simple interpretation by looking at the words is saying, Ekadantaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. But Puranas have very interesting interpretation of this. We say Ekadantaya because he has one tusk. But Maudgalya Purana says, Eka represents Maya, Jagat Karanam, Ajnanam. And Danta represents existence, easiness. That is, what is easiness? Brahman. Satchit Anandam. So, Ekadantaya represents he who has complete control over Maya, Prakriti, Ajnanam. So one way of interpreting the Ekadantaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahi is to say that Ekadanta, in this case Lord Ganesha, is Saguna Brahman. That's what we say, we call Ishvara, no? Ishvara is, what's the difference between Ishvara and a Jiva? Ishvara has complete control over Maya, the Upadhi called Maya. And therefore Maya cannot influence Ishvara. All this we are talking about within the framework of Mithya. A Jiva does not have control over Maya. Maya controls the Jiva. Yantra Rudani Mayaya we see in Bhagavad Gita. That Maya controls us. And if we remember that Maya is only Ajnanam, everything falls into place. What makes us do what we do is Ajnanam about the real nature of the self. If somebody has understood that, why would he do anything wrong? Understood what? The real nature of Atma, real nature of the self, is that I am infinite, I am Purnaha. Aham Brahmosmi. If one understood that, what is more to achieve? If you are already Purnaha, infinite, there is no more knowledge to gain. Prajnanam Brahma. There is no more karma to do karma to do for something, to achieve something, to change the state. But if you're already Purnaha, what state are you going to change? To what? You can go from 10 to 1,000 to million to trillion. But you are infinite. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Nothing more to be done. Therefore, such a person is called Kritsna Karma Krit. We see in the Gita also again. One who has done everything that needs to be done. No, sir, he has never been to Hawaii. It makes no difference. Krishna Karma, Krishna is complete. Everything is done. Such a person. Therefore, this mantra at one level can be simple prayer saying, Ekadantai vidmahe vaktundai dhimahi tanno danti prachodayat. Tat naha danti e danti prachodayat. But the other level of understanding this, like I said, mantra is jnanam. Mantra is vidya. One can raise oneself to understanding the same mantra as vidya. If a person is an adhikari, is prepared, then this mantra becomes the source of jnanam. For one who is not prepared, this mantra becomes a step to become an adhikari. For upasana. So jnanam is in this form in which I pray, I see the formless. That's jnanam. And that formless and I are non-separate. Therefore, this mantra is both the Ganapathi Gayatri, like any other mantra in the Vedic text, is a source of jnanam. So this whole Upanishad helps both the person who is not an adhikari yet to become an adhikari, and the one who is an adhikari to gain that knowledge. Both become possible. So your prayer is both to the form, Lord Ganesha, and the formless. The form we give yesterday, we give that form, we give all the stories, we give all the two hands, one hand, this, one hand, that, and so on. Every devata we have some kind of a vision of what the devata is like. I don't know how they became common, that whether somebody at some rishi at some stage imagined and drew each of these devata. But across the world, if you say Ganesha, the image that comes to your mind is the same, irrespective of who you are or where you are. And that image can be described. I don't know if I said in this class, but when a sthapati is one who makes those idols, is given charge to create an idol for a temple. He goes through, I think, 40 days of vratam. He doesn't let his mind or body wander into any other direction. So for that period, like people go to Sabrimala, he is focused entirely on the jhana shloka for that Ishvara, that form of Ishvara. So he contemplates. What has he got in front of him? Just a solid stone. Rough, not even a clear stone, but a form of stone. Like any other sculptor, he is able to see in that stone the form that he's going to create. If somebody is creating a Laukika form, even then he has to contemplate upon that form. But when somebody is creating a murti for which pratishtha is to be done, which means it will be installed in a temple for puja, a whole lot of processes are there. Then he contemplates on the dhyana mantra. And then he starts the process of chiseling to arrive at the final form. I know somebody here who has been creating a painting of Rama Pattabhishekam. It's beautifully done. I know what she went through. She had, of course, the picture with her. She contemplated on the picture and trying to translate this into the canvas. But for a sthapati who is going to create this, interestingly, for every form of Ishvara, even for Lord Ganapathi, there are certain variations. You would have seen dancing Ganapathi, you would have seen various other variations of Ganapathi. But certain common features remain unchanged. Elephant head, tusk which is bent, this thing which is tumbike which is bent, single tusk. And generally, the four hands, each has a certain mudra or is holding something. Dakshinamurti also same thing. You see all these Dakshinamurti statues, they are not identical, but there are certain very common features. There is one book I saw which has pictures of various types of Dakshinamurti. We are doing this because there was one Murti in a temple in Baroda which the person wanted to replace by exactly the same Murti. So we're trying to figure out which variation it is. It turned out to be one called, we have here is called Medha Dakshinamurti. That was called Yoga Dakshinamurti. Slight variations. The position of the foot is slightly different. few other things are different, but otherwise the thing is commonalities remain the same. You can recognize the same Dakshinamurti, whichever form you see it in. So here also Lord Ganesha, there's a description of the form. We will look at the form tomorrow. And then following that, we will complete the Phalastuti. Because with that form, the prayer part of it is over. Then there's some Phalastuti, which we normally don't chant when we chant Atharvashirshopanishad. We will see that tomorrow. And hopefully by tomorrow, we will complete this, and then we can plan the next text to be taken up. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.